Hey there, this video comes from the PigCake Magic Academy. The reason I'm putting it here is to hopefully entice you to join. Some people think that I'm idiotic for putting out the entire content here for you to watch, but you get access to over 1,200 videos, I believe 1,300 at this point if you join. So go ahead, you can look at the link in the description section below and see the type of content that I'm putting out on the Academy. So make sure to check it out after you watch the video. So on today's Mentalism Academy lesson, we're going to be going over a method of having the participant do an any card, any number for you. Now, full disclosure, this does involve the use of a marked deck. Now, typically when it comes to these lessons on the Academy, I like to give it with things that are accessible to absolutely everyone, like normal decks of cards, bits of paper, card that you can find pretty much anywhere else. But today you're going to have to use a marked deck. Now, I will be providing an alternative that doesn't involve a marked deck because that's the sort of bargain you get here on the PigCake Magic Academy. You get methods that involve gimmicks, you get methods that don't involve anything at all. So you're getting your money's worth. But the marked deck method is the cleanest because it's pretty much hands off. They deal the cards in your hand, they name any number, and yet you are able to name the exact card at that number. They get all the credit, and yet somehow you were the facilitator of this moment that they're going to remember for a long time. So for this, you're going to shuffle the deck, you're going to hand them the deck, they're going to shuffle, it doesn't matter, and they're also going to hold on to the cards, and you're going to tell them that you're going to think of a card in your head. Now, of course, you feign having some sort of weird mental crisis at this point, and you go, yes, all right, great. I have a card in mind. At this point, you're going to have the participant look at you in the eyes and name the first number that pops into their head between 1 and 52. Now, as a side note, this is where the effect is taking place because they're looking at you in the eyes somehow through instant transmission or however you want to do it. They're going to pick up on the fact that the number they name is the location of the card that you have in your head. Now, at this point, a participant is going to name any number out loud between 1 and 52. It doesn't matter because, remember, the cards are marked at this point, and you're going to have them deal that number onto your hand. Now, we're going with the marked deck method. The marked deck method would have them deal the cards in your left hand. The non-marked deck method has them deal the cards in your right hand. So, it doesn't matter for this point. We're using a marked deck. They're going to deal the cards onto your hand. Now, at this point, all that's left is I'm just going to read the marking that's on the card. That's it. I'm just going to read the marking. In this case, is the 3 of spades. It just takes a quick glance, and you got the card. And you're going to tell them, hey, look, you're doing a trick for me. I'm thinking of a card. You looked in my eyes. You named any number out loud. And now the card that I was thinking of from the beginning is the 3 of spades. Now, you named a random number. You don't think. And of course, at this point, you could turn the card over, they could turn it over, and it happens to be the exact card. Such a weird, simple thing to do. They can't backtrack this because to them, it happened before they even dealt the cards in your hand. So how could I have known? Really, I had no card in my mind at any point until I read the marking. So it's such a brilliant backwards thinking. I love this. You have a lot of methods like this using marked cards where they pick a card, you pick a card, you find their card, they find yours. Just brilliant. But here we're doing it with an any card, any number, which I think is a wonderful thing. You could play this off as them performing the trick for you. They're reading your mind. Somehow they found the exact card, the location, because they knew what you were thinking. So it's a fun backwards way of approaching the any card, any number plot. Now, that is the handling with a marked deck. As you can see, it's super simple. They deal the cards in your hand. They have the cards in their hands the entire time, and you don't do any sleight of hand. You just read the card, and that's it. For the actual other method, you are going to have to do a little bit of sleight of hand. It's not too difficult. We're doing a reverse spread pass, if you want to call it that. It's not really a pass, but we are using a reverse spread, and you have to mark one card. So in this case, let's say you mark the 4 of hearts. You're just simply going to take a pencil dot, or in this case, a red Sharpie, and just dot one of the markings on the back of the card and dot it on both sides. So you're doing it on the upper left, and then you're going to turn the card over and do it again on the upper left. So it's marked regardless of which location the card is placed in. Now, the actual location where that 4 of hearts goes is going to be up to you. Personally, I like to put it around 7th from the top of the deck. You could be as specific as you want, but it needs to go somewhere near the top section of the deck. So the top 10 cards, that's where this card needs to go. Typically, I like 7 because 7 is a psychological force number. So if you place the card in the 7th position and they think of 7, well, you have a miracle because they're actually dealing the card at that number. Now, if you notice, the participants can't really shuffle the deck because you have to maintain your setup here of having the marked 4 of hearts 7th from the top of the deck. So that is a downside to this particular method. But the upside is that you could potentially get a hit using a normal ordinary deck of cards apart from one card. And the method is going to be as follows. For this case, we're going to have the 4 of hearts reversed for the sake of explanation. Remember, this card is just going to be marked, so that's how you're going to be able to differentiate it from the remaining cards. You're going to have them deal the cards onto your hand. In this case, we're going to have them deal the cards onto our right hand. So let's say for the sake of completion here, they happen to pick 14. So that's the number they name out loud, where they're going to deal 14 cards. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 onto our hand. Now at this point, here's where we're going to perform the reverse spread pass. Now this is a very simple pass to do. We're spreading the cards reversed with our right hand until we come to the marking. So in this case, we're coming to the marking of that 4 of hearts, and we're going to separate the cards at this point. So now we're in a situation where we're spreading the cards in a way that we usually don't spread. We're spreading them reversed. Now this is going to be very important because in a moment we're actually going to unreverse the cards. And the way we do that is that as we're spreading through the cards, we're just going to spread with our bottom fingers of the right hand towards the left, and we're going to spread with our thumb towards the right. So what this does is that puts us in a situation when we bring the cards back together where now the cards are being spread normal. Now, of course, the participants aren't necessarily going to be aware of this particular change. The only thing that they think is that we've spread the cards like this, and then now we've coalesced the cards back. Really, we've actually secretly cut the cards. So let me go over that one more time. We're going to spread until we see our marking. When we see our marking, we're going to separate the cards casually at this. Keep in mind that we have been spreading the cards like this as we're gesturing towards the participant. When we get to the marking, we're just going to reverse spread the cards in a gesture and continue spreading the cards that way, coalescing the cards in our left hand. So we secretly cut the cards. The participants just think that we spread the cards like this and coalesce them in the hand. Really, we've cut that card to the top. Now we could cover this by telling the participant, keep in mind you could have named any number. Had it been a different number, it would have been a different card, but instead you went with 14. And in this case, my card, I was thinking of, well, the 4 of hearts. And here you could reveal that they, in fact, were right. So marked deck or not, you still have a method of performing the exact same effect. And I think it's a wonderful variation of that. But do keep in mind the marked deck method is the simplest one. They shuffle, they cut, they could do anything they want. They deal the cards in your hand. They don't have to deal them straight on. They could deal them from anywhere technically, but we are trying to keep to this card at any number effect. Now the sleight of hand method isn't really a compromise. It's another great method to use, but it doesn't have the ease of the marked deck method. But I still think that reverse spread pass is still a great thing in and of itself, so it's a wonderful thing to use in this particular variation of the trick. But as I mentioned before, keep in mind that this is just a skeleton. It's up to you to come up with the effect for how you want to present this to the participants. But apart from that, that's the lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for being members of the PigCake Mentalism Academy, and I hope to see you on the next one.
I see you again, when 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 I see you again.